Thank you for joining us on the Family First Life Health and Wealth podcast. Please like us on all of our platforms at Family First Life Health and Wealth. I hope this information helps you grow and learn. Please share this with everybody you know, all your friends, all your family. We're hiring all across the country. Be well.
It's a lot, gotta believe for us.
Welcome, everyone, to the Health and Wealth podcast. My name is Steve Giordano. I am very, very excited to have an extremely special guest, Miss Deidra Sherman. Let's give her a round of applause. Deidra, how are you today?
I'm doing fantastic, Steve. First off, just wanted to say thank you so much for having me on this podcast today. You're actually one of the individuals that I look up to in this business, and whenever I have a decision that I need to make in the business, I'm always like, what would Steve do? Okay, he's probably going to buy more leads. He's probably going to dial the phone more. And he's probably not going to make these excuses. So let me just shut up and dial.
That's funny.
So thank you so much for having me on here today.
Well, thank you. I love watching what you're doing in so many regards, FFL, outside of FFL, you know, the passion that you have for life, the passion you have for fitness, modeling, the business. I love it all. We're going to really unpack it. I wanted to kind of start here a little bit about, you know, kind of your journey to insurance and then your journey to FFL.
Yeah, so I started when I was 18 years old. Straight out of high school. I knew that I didn't want to go to college and I was going to take a year off to really figure out what I wanted to do because I was pursuing modeling, and I've been modeling since I was about 15, 16 years old. So right after I graduated high school, I ended up moving to Chicago, which was a big move for me because I didn't have any family out there. So I was all alone by myself, but it was kind of the best thing for me because it taught me a lot about how to grow as an individual. But long story short, I was in Chicago for a little bit and I had a modeling agency out there, and the director of the modeling agency, she started her own firm with an insurance company, and she recruited me into insurance, which initially got me into the insurance industry. And I was with them for a little bit, started working my way up, connecting with other individuals in the industry. And fast forward 5 years later, it actually kind of put me through 4 different insurance companies to finally find the right fit for me and the right system and the right vehicle to get me the income that I deserve, because there's a lot of other companies out there that are great, but I just felt like, I mean, we're the second richest industry in the world. And the income that I was making prior to finding FFL, I was just like, the work ethic that I'm putting in compared to the amount of money that I'm receiving just doesn't make sense. So when I came to FFL, I was really grateful because now what I'm making per month was what I was making per year with my prior insurance companies, just because my comp was at 60%. And come to find out, being a 1099 agent, I really wasn't a 1099 agent, because when I left the company, my upline ended up terminating my contract, which caused me to lose all of my renewals that I've worked for the past 4 years. And I'm just grateful to be here at FFL because we truly do own our own book of business. If you were to leave, you're not going to get terminated. And if you were to leave, you're still going to be able to keep your own book of business. And I bring that up because I know that I stayed way too long in the other companies due to loyalty, thinking that there was actually loyalty within that relationship. But I mean, I haven't even talked to those individuals since moving to FFL.
Wow. Yeah, it's a very good point and a testament to what we have here. Now, did you have any entrepreneurial kind of background from your upbringing, your parents, anything? Because it seems like you kind of had that spirit in you at a young age, and you're still very young. Where do you think that came from?
I know for me, I mean, each year, piece by piece, I've continued to piece together my why on why I do what I do. And ever since I was a kid, I know my dad has had a huge impact on me. He's taught me a lot about why it's important to take care of yourself, why it's important to treat other people with respect, why it's important to watch your reputation. And a big thing for me, it may seem so small, but everywhere that we would go, my father and I, it could be a gas station, it could be CVS or Walmart. He would know somebody in that store because he's made an impact on that person. And we'd walk in and they know him by name. And as a kid, that left a mark on me because I was like, man, when I want to grow up, I want to be exactly like that. And I laugh now because 5 years ago, I would ask my dad, I'm like, Dad, how do you talk to just a stranger like that? Like, how do you act like they've been a friend for many years? And coming from, because 5 years ago, I used to be so shy. I used to put my head down. I wouldn't talk to anybody. But now I'm so passionate about being able to impact a life in front of me. And I think a lot of that comes from, one, yeah, my father, and two, being in the modeling business where everything is about your reputation. And what you put out there is going to make an impact on somebody. And you just want to, you realize that what you're doing isn't about you anymore. It's about the person in front of you. So when you change your mindset from what's in it for me, and you change it to how can I help this person in front of me, if it's on social media or if it's a conversation in person, every day you wake up, you're like, what can I do better to at least put a smile on somebody's face? And that drives me every single day. Mm.
It's interesting because when I talk to you, they say that when you do what you're passionate about, you'll never work a day in your life. And that's what I get from you, because you do three things that you're very, very passionate about, and there's probably more. And you can tell from your social media, your posts with clients, you're genuinely happy, like you said, to be there to take care of them. And then the modeling stuff, like you seem so happy in life. And we talked earlier about how you came into this and you never changed who you were. So talk to me a little bit about that, because I think you brought that up and that really struck a chord with me, when people get into FFL and in insurance in general.
Yeah, you have to protect your foundation. I mean, it's just like building a house. You can't build a house that's not on solid foundation. And for me, I always told myself that when I come into this industry, I'm going to bring my unique, authentic self in it. And I'm not going to change who I am, because a lot of the times you see people that make a lot of money, they tend to change who they are. And I think it's so important that you don't lose yourself by sticking to the basics. And for me, I love modeling. I love going to the gym. I love helping people. So every single day I make sure that I don't lose that out of my schedule, which kind of helps me actually build my business, because I make sure that every single day I wake up, I do what I love, which is, hey, I go to the gym every morning for an hour. And then I still book my modeling shoots weekly, monthly, whenever I can. I make time for it because it's important. And then I'm selling, and that's being able to help people. But it all comes back to mindset. Don't let the money get to your head. Because when money doesn't motivate you and you actually have your why and your passion behind the business, that's going to get you a lot further than chasing a check.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. That's so awesome. And I think, It's interesting when we talk entrepreneurs, we talk about a lot of people think that they can kind of just do what they want when they want to do it. But the way you're explaining it, there's intentionality behind it. You can map out your schedule the way you want it here. You can still write, you average what, about 40,000 a month, probably personal production?
Yeah.
So 40,000 a month, you map it out, you still do your modeling shoots, you still stay in great shape, and you're able to do it because you do it with intention. And I think sometimes people get lost in the, I'm an entrepreneur, I can kind of wake up late and work when I want to. And you're like, you're not saying that. You're just saying you map out your day and your time, and then you run your business with intentionality.
Absolutely. And you're definitely having to make probably more sacrifices, because when you don't just solely focus on the business, you're probably going to have to wake up a little bit earlier. You're probably going to have to go to sleep a little bit later. But to me, that fulfills me because I'm doing everything that I love and I'm building towards something bigger and better. Because my ultimate goal is to actually have a leadership program for foster kids. And every day that I wake up, I make sure that I'm developing in every single area, mentally, physically, spiritually, financially. So I always focus on those areas because in order to become that leader for those foster kids that I'm going to lead, I have to make sure that I become that person first, which helps me make sure that every decision that I make and every action that I make on a daily basis, it does have intention. It is growing me into that person that those kids need. So I think the biggest thing is have a why behind what you do. And money is not a motivator for me. I could care less about how much I make. I know that I need a lot of money in order to fulfill my goals, which is why I work so hard. But like we talked about before, I don't feel like I'm working a day in my life because I know where I'm going to be in 10 years by what I'm doing today.
That's really cool because the vehicle of insurance and FFL is allowing you to not have to worry about money. And it's also allowing you to make enough that you're going to be able to have that program when you want to have that program. And so many other things you're going to be able to do as well. So now let's dive into a little bit with the FFL experience. You're now building a team. At what point did you decide, hey, I want to build and I want to have an organization and build something bigger than just myself?
Yeah, so I've always seen the vision of building, but I was focusing on myself for a little bit because I was trying to get my schedule in order. And I was like, okay, it's time to move on to the next step, because in order to get where I want to be, to fulfill my goals and dreams, I have to build an agency. I have to build a big business in order to allow me the time and the capital to pursue what I want to do. So I did put a little bit of time into building an agency prior, but I know I didn't put the focus in like I should, because honestly, I was uncomfortable. I was like, I don't know if I'm ready to be a leader. I don't know if I'm ready to lead these people because I'm not producing big numbers. But at the end of the day, we're never going to be ready. And it's time to just step in and do it and take the daily action in order to grow. Because at the end of the day, you have to be comfortable being uncomfortable in order to really learn through your mistakes. And there was a quote that somebody told me, you have to fail faster. You have to just do it. And by doing it more and more and more, you're going to become more comfortable with the uncomfortable.
Yeah, 1,000%. And now, we were talking about earlier how you have, 2 staff now? Social media manager, recruiter. Isn't it crazy? Because I have a social media manager too. Like, if you would have told me, and I'm older than you, if you would have told me, when I was in high school, man, like, you're going to have a business one day, and you're going to have a social media manager, they would have been like, what in the hell is that? But now it's like the thing, and it's so vital. How has the comfortability of getting uncomfortable, getting to staff now and paying people and leading those people, how has that changed your mindset and mentality?
It's huge. I mean, being in the industry long enough, 5 years, I always, and I know a lot of other people say it, I wish I would have done it sooner. I wish I would have invested the money sooner, and whatever I fear, I wish I would have pushed more into. Like if I fear paying staff weekly because I fear that I'm not going to produce enough, I should have just jumped on it, because really that's how you grow. And it's cool to look at, being 23 years old and already having a business with 2 staff. I even have people that cook my meals. I have somebody that comes and cleans all my whole entire house, does my laundry. And it's just completely changed my mindset on, I'm going to focus on the things that make me money. And if I can pay somebody else hourly to do the things that don't make me money, then it's going to help me automate the things that aren't as important and focus on what's important. So it's definitely changed my mindset a lot and has helped me become more efficient.
You just said something really important there that it took me a little while to get. I used to be the one, I wanted to do it all. I wanted to mow the lawn and clean and do the lawn, do all this stuff. And then I'm like, wait a minute, I can make so much money putting, like you just said, time into this. Why am I going to go do a job that's like a $10 to $15 an hour job when I'm worth hundreds of dollars an hour? And I don't think a lot of people get that right away, because I think sometimes, I don't know if you want to call it the broke mentality, call it whatever you want, a mentality where people are afraid to spend money on stuff. And then they learn, like, wait a minute, spending it is how you leverage, and leveraging is how you grow in every aspect.
Well, everything is a mindset, really, because before I used to look at money like, oh, I have to save all my money. And at the end of the day, when you're building a business, you should be investing it into things that help grow your money. And now, instead of looking at money like, oh, let me keep as much money as I can, no, I'm gonna invest it, because money is a resource. It's not a possession anymore. It's a resource, because at the end of the day, if I were to pass away tomorrow, the money doesn't go with me, but what comes with me is what I invested into, what I left an impact on, the legacy that I left for my future family and my kids. So I look at things like that, where it's a resource, not a possession.
Very good point. You went to college, correct?
I did not.
You didn't? Wow.
I haven't stepped foot on a college campus.
Wow. I'm shocked. She's very, very intelligent.
I read a lot of books.
Yeah, and it's interesting because when we talk entrepreneurship, and look, college, I went to college, it's good and bad, what have you. You can say what you want about it, but it's not the end all be all for sure, especially doing what we do and living in the society that we live in now.
Yeah, absolutely. And a big thing for me that I learned, the past 5 years, I've moved about 10 times by myself. And there's nothing that can teach you better than actually doing it, experiencing it. And
he agrees.
This is my son. But there's nothing that, hold on. Here. There's nothing that can teach you more than actually doing it and understanding that whatever you go through, you can grow through. And as long as you have that mindset, you really live fearlessly. And for me, I'm a type A. So if I were to go to school and have to memorize a bunch of things from a book, I'm not going to learn as much by actually doing it, making mistakes, and learning from those mistakes. And I feel like just having compassion with yourself when you do have letdowns or mistakes or setbacks, just understanding that, hey, this is life and we all get to learn and enjoy it, and enjoy the process and not focus on the results, because the results are always going to come as long as you stay strong through whatever trials that you're going through.
Yeah, and it's interesting with moving. I was kind of the same way. I moved a bunch of times, and I know that if I wouldn't have moved away from Long Island, New York, 11 years ago, I would nowhere be where I am today, because I learned so much. I was in a bubble, and then I was able to move outside of the bubble. So I 100% agree with you. So now, how do you, with new agents, how do you kind of teach them some of this fearless mentality? Because when I talk to you, there's like no fear. I mean, there might be somewhere deep down. We all have it. But like, I feel like you've went through stuff, you've moved, what have you, you run a business. You have no fear. How do you relate now to a new agent and teach that to a new agent?
Honestly, this is what I tell every new agent. Focus on the process and not results. And once you do that, it really helps, because if you focus on what you can control, then you really live fearlessly, because I can control the work that I put in, the activity that I do, the books that I read, how I develop my mind. I can control guaranteeing 1 hour a day of feeling great because I go to the gym. So when you focus on doing consistent actions through that, you're going to build integrity within yourself, and that's going to build your confidence, where a year from now, you're going to look back and you're like, wow, it really does work. So you don't really worry about the what ifs. I just keep things simple, because once you start to overthink the process, that's when you start to have anxiety, you start to worry, you start to have fear. And what's easy to do is also easy not to do. So just focus on staying consistent and also leading by example.
Yeah. And I think, you know, one of the things in this business is you're trying to build your confidence, you know, because like everybody gets into it and they're, you know, you've never done it and I got to learn and this and that. And you're trying to build that confidence. And I think the way you're going about it, you've built confidence in yourself. And I can see how you'd be able to transform that into new people, because they can look to you and be like, look at her, like, look at what she does. Look at how she does it. We can be like that. Because anybody can do this, as we all know, and as we all say.
Absolutely. Yeah, you definitely have to set the example. You have to set standards. When people reach out to me and they're like, hey, how do I get my agents rolling? I first ask them, how much are you producing per month?
Yeah.
And if it's 20,000, I'm like, hey, shoot for 40,000 next month. Why? Because now you're going to be leading by example, and what you can tell your team is what you've learned, which mostly it's, hey, invest in some more leads and make sure you complete your dials every Monday and every Thursday. Just follow the system, stay consistent, don't overthink the process, don't compare yourself to anybody else, and just do the work.
Yeah, absolutely. So now you've been running, you know, from the FFL side of things, like a hybrid model. You're in the field, you're doing virtual, you're doing call transfer. How do you manage the schedule there? What does that typically look like between the two different types of leads?
Yeah. So I stay consistent with my dial days every Monday and every Thursday. And also, while I have my dial days on Mondays and Thursdays, I'm taking in live transfers just to add a little bit of extra production. But me personally, I love the field, and I don't think I could ever give up the field. I know lots of people are having success on the phones or live transfers, and that's amazing. Different strokes for different folks. Me personally, I'm not going to give up the field, but I think it's important to try every avenue that we have at FFL, because one thing may work for you that doesn't work for me. But what I stay consistent on is my 30 appointments per week. And then I just add in my live transfers and travel trips. But the main thing that I stay consistent with is dial days, Mondays and Thursdays, and running my 16 appointments between two field days.
Yeah, I love that. And I mixed in the call transfers, and I was inspired by you and some of the posts. So it goes back to the power of the posts. And I was like, you know what, like I got to try that. And what I love about it is if I sit down on the Monday, Thursday, and you make those couple sales, it's almost like you go on the field, you're like, oh, I got $2,000 in the bank. I got 1,000. Like, and it's just another, like you said, it's another avenue. And look, if you're not successful here, the fact of the matter is you're just not working hard enough and not buying enough leads. I mean, it's really as simple as that. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely. The system works as long as you do. That's it. Keep it simple.
And I think a lot of times, you know, mixing in travel trips is key for a couple of reasons. How many do you typically do a month?
Right now I'm only doing one, but I think I'm going to start increasing it just to kind of switch it up a bit. You know, like when you're in the same routine for a while, at least for me, I'm such an active person that I can sometimes feel myself slowing down. So what I do is I switch it up and then I go on a travel trip and it helps me get back to my focus.
Are there particular areas you go to for any particular reason, or do you just kind of go where the leads are?
No, I go where the leads are. Because if you go on the CRM, like, I mean, I was just in Illinois and it's nuts. I think I'm going to go out to Illinois more because there's tons of leads out there. So wherever I can get as many leads as I can to maximize my field days, that's where I'm going.
One of the things I was going to ask you that I've started thinking about with the call transfers, and if you're trying to do a lot of virtual, obviously you're not converting as many. Are you hiring in those areas to then have leads for agents that are on the ground?
Yes. So I actually just attended a conference out in Illinois, and I got a few people to go out to the Illinois conference because, yeah, why not? Why wouldn't you hire in areas that you're going in? And if you're going to be running in the field, you might as well find somebody in that area to run in the field with you to show them how the system works. And if you get one person that believes in the system, imagine how many more people they can get on board. So then you can start targeting like a few areas and have like 3 territories that you really want to work. So you can fly out and do a travel trip, but not only are you selling out there, you're also building your agency.
Yeah, and it's so cool. And I think sometimes people look at, oh, like a travel trip is negative or whatever, but it's not. Like you're able to build a business across the country. Like it's bananas. Like there's no limits to what you can do and where you can do it in all of the 50 states.
I think travel trips are honestly the best way to learn, especially when you're brand new in the business, because you're going somewhere that you're eliminating all your distractions. You don't have friends or family members that want to go out this weekend or stopping by for dinner. You're literally going to an area that you might have never been in your entire life, going to stay in an Airbnb or a hotel, and all you can focus on is the business and selling. And when you do that, that's going to allow you to learn because, hey, I can't stop at my apartment halfway through the field day because I'm not in my hometown. So I'm going to do whatever it takes to pick up my activity because I'm away from my family and I want to make sure that this is worth it.
Yeah, and you just said an interesting thing because sometimes people need to kind of trick themselves into success. You know what I mean? Like you could go and book 3 appointments and then be like, I'm going to go home and like just chill. And then I'll go to the 3rd one at 7:00. But if you're in Chicago randomly, you're going to go door knock and go, find another $5,000 a premium.
It's true. And you have to be real with yourself. I know for me, like that's why I don't do live transfers or phone sales 24/7 because I know I'm going to be at home and getting distracted. And I hate cleaning, but I'd probably make the excuse to, hey, let me go clean my dishes right now before this next sale. So I'm just being real with myself. And that's why I make sure that I go to the office every Mondays and every Thursdays. And I do travel trips whenever I feel myself kind of getting content because I know that's going to help pick up my momentum again. So it's important to start tracking that too.
Yeah, I think people have a hard time keeping themselves accountable when they've been told what to do in a job for so many years. And then all of a sudden you don't have that person telling you what to do. You're the one that has to do it. So you got to play the tricks and play the games because everybody's going to default to kind of relaxing. I mean, it's just human nature.
It absolutely is. And like I said before, you have to be real with yourself, start tracking it because you'll notice patterns and just make sure that you start to notice your triggers. So before you see yourself getting lazy, you know what to do to stop yourself from getting lazy. Because, I mean, this is the best way I put it, and this is why I love the gym. Half the time, I don't want to go to the gym. I don't want to work out, even though I'm passionate about it. But 100% of the time, once I do it, I feel amazing. And now it's become a habit, and I've built the momentum where I know that that's my guaranteed 1 hour that I'm going to feel great coming out of it.
That's a very, very good point. Very key point. So now tell us this as we wrap up. We're headed to the convention. We have a couple months left. What do you see for yourself goal-wise, personal production, and for your team in 2022?
So I'm definitely pre-gaming already for 2022. I'm excited. I'm keeping my foot on the gas to make sure that I don't slow down and I only speed up for 2022. And really what I'm focused on is not the results, because I know the results are going to come, but I'm really focused on pressing into whatever I fear. And I'm going to hire more staff. I'm going to sell my face off because I'm going to lead by example. And the goal is to get to $300,000 a month for my agency production by the end of this year. And then hopefully an integrity deal by the end of next year. And it's easily doable. I mean, Nina D's my upline, and within 1 year, she went from 0 to 1.5 million. So why not me?
Incredible. And I just love, like, that is the key. Why not anybody? Anybody can literally, they have it staring in their face if they're willing to give it their all, you know, get uncomfortable and just kind of go for it. So I appreciate you. I can't wait to see you at the convention. It's going to be like bonkers how cool it's going to be, this convention. So thank you for all you do for FFL, and anything you need from me or the group, let me know.
Thank you, Steve. It was an honor being on here.
All right, dear. All right, guys. Talk to you next week. Take care.